Madam Speaker, the President of the United States.
A president among friends? It certainly appeared that way as Trump walked into the House of Representatives. His Republican allies had made sure they were at the entrance to greet him. But this was the chamber which voted to impeach Trump less than 2 months ago. And on what was supposed to be an occasion for national unity, the president ignored the handshake offered by the Democrat leader Nancy Pelosi. His speech touted the success of his presidency compared to the failings of the previous administration.
We have totally rejected the downsizing. We're moving forward at a pace that was unimaginable just a short time ago, and we are never, ever going back.
It was the revival of the economy that gave him the most satisfaction.
Since my election, U.S. stock markets have soared 70%, adding more than $12 trillion to our nation's wealth, transcending anything anyone believed was possible. This is a record. It is something that every country in the world is looking up to. They admire.
Republicans rose to their feet to applaud virtually every sentence, while the Democrats sat in stony silence. There was a small section on foreign policy, which included a warning to Iran.
The Iranian regime must abandon its pursuit of nuclear weapons, stop spreading terror, death, and destruction, and start working for the good of its own people.
The night ended on an acrimonious note, Nancy Pelosi ripping up her copy of the president's speech. But nevertheless, Trump is having a good week. His poll ratings are at record levels. He's about to be cleared of the impeachment charges, and the opposition Democrats have made a mess of their opening caucus in Iowa as they try and find a candidate to challenge him. So it's perhaps no surprise that Trump supporters believe he'll be the president giving the next State of the Union address in February next year. John Brain, TRT World, Washington.
Well, as you just heard, one argument that Trump is betting on for re-election is the economy. He's touted its strength and the country's historic low unemployment. Data released on Wednesday shows the trade deficit fell 1.7% to $617 billion last year. It was the first decline in 6 years after 2018's deficit, which was the highest in a decade. Despite the annual decline, the deficit shot up 12% month on month in December to $49 billion. Well, the job market added 291,000 jobs last month, which is more than what economists had forecast. They also expect unemployment to remain at a 50-year low of 3.5%. But US economic growth slowed to 2.3% last year, down from 2.9% in 2018. That's the slowest pace since 2016 and well below Trump's 3% target. Well, for more on this, Dave Brat joins us now from Lynchburg, Virginia. He's the Dean of Business at Liberty University and served as a Republican congressman for Virginia's 7th District. Welcome back to the program, Dave. Now, we heard there Donald Trump declare a great American comeback under his presidency. But when it comes to things like unemployment, joblessness really, picked up pace under President Barack Obama's presidency. Can Trump really take all the credit for it? It's not just all he's doing, is it?
I'm an economist, and so you just look, if you want to avoid the politics and comparing Trump and Obama, I mean, just look at the data and they speak for themselves. They go to it like the Nobel Prize-winning economic growth models like the solo growth model. And what does it say? It says if you want to grow, the most important variable is capital accumulation. And so on the announcement of Trump's win, the stock market went through the roof. That didn't happen under Obama. And so you can talk about whatever variable you want, but capital flows are by far the biggest. They're, in tens of trillions of dollars across countries. They matter most. We did a tax cut back when I was in. The economy last year grew by 3%. We asked the Democrats to continue that tax cut so we could have the same 3% growth target that you mentioned in your news. But the news media often fails to cover the fact that the Democrats wouldn't help us achieve the target. And so Nancy Pelosi's state of California, everybody's leaving California. They're not growing. San Francisco's in terrible trouble. Most of the Democrat stronghold states, New York, Chicago, LA, et cetera, are not doing well economically. All the folks are moving to the Republican states for growth, but then they come down and vote leftist policies in. And so under Bernie, right, Bernie's interesting because he's a populist on the left. And, so he's challenging the billionaire class up there on the Democrat side. So that's refreshing. And then President Trump obviously is running for free markets and against socialism, but he, again, is a populist running against the deep state. And so both parties are united on that front, right? The American people are very aware that this system is bought and paid for by special interests. And so if there's one thing that unites us, it's that.
Okay. Now, can we look at the optics of the State of the Union? Because there were a couple of really interesting moments, as I'm sure you were aware as well. Trump firstly appeared to snub Speaker Nancy Pelosi when she extended her hand before the speech. Afterwards, we also saw Nancy Pelosi dramatically tear up a copy of Trump's State of the Union address. Are these signs that perhaps bipartisanship under the Trump administration is all but over?
Yeah, you never saw the Republicans act that way under President Obama, right? I mean, if we differed with him on a few things, we wouldn't stand. But for the most part, if he mentioned, American heroes in the audience, we all stood up. If he mentioned economic growth, we stood up. The snub from Trump, I've just seen it on the news a few times. He gave Pence the document, didn't shake his hand, gave it to Pelosi, and then began to turn around. I don't know if he saw the hand or not. It's not clear to me it's a snub. But Speaker Pelosi ripping up the document 5 times in a row. Whew, I mean, I've never seen anything like that.
Yes, but
all the
what does
Democrats sitting while you're giving awards to
sorry
the
to interrupt you there, Dave. Just really quickly before we go, what does all that say about the spirit of bipartisanship then? Is it over under Donald Trump?
Well, yeah, I mean, the civility's bad. I think the messages are not compatible right now. One side wants a huge state to run your life, and the other side wants freedom and the traditional American path that's given us all liberty and freedom and tremendous wealth and safety. And so Venezuela, I mean, name a socialist country model that's working right now. I don't know. And but the young kids are under the impression that socialism will be good for them because the Democrats are saying everything's free. Yes. And so there's going to be a heady debate coming up. And it would be nice if everyone was civil on that. But unfortunately, that's not what's going on right now.
No. Well, okay, Dave Brat, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you for sharing us your thoughts.